Now we're live.
Okay, call this meeting to order. Let the record show all council members are present. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, before I start and call the meeting to order, I wanted to say a couple words about Merlin Anderson, who isn't with us this evening. Has sat there for decades where the flowers are. Now, Merlin has dedicated more than 5 decades of his professional life to serving this community. Now, from the early 1970s until very recently, he provided steady, thoughtful legal counsel that helped guide this city through generations of change. His presence at this table was a constant, one marked by integrity, professionalism, and a deep understanding of both the law and people whom he served. Beyond his work with the city, Merlin's life reflected a broader commitment to service. He served our country for 20 years in the United States military, practiced law in both private and public roles, and contributed to his profession through leadership in the Minnesota Bar Association. His accomplishments were many, but those who worked with him will remember just as much his reliability, his perspective, and his quiet dedication. Now, Merlin was, in many ways, part of the foundation of how this city operates today. His guidance shaped decisions, his counsel provided clarity, and his commitment helped ensure that Slayton remains strong and well governed. So, on behalf of the city of Slayton, we extend our deepest uh, condolences to his family and loved ones. We are grateful for his lifetime of service, and we honor the legacy he leaves behind. Tonight, we remember Merlin Anderson not only for his role that he held, but for the lasting impact he made on his community. This time, I'm calling everybody at look at the agenda. Is there any addition to the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Good question. You missed out on that discussion. In your packets.
Second.
Dean is first. In your packets are the minutes of the regular meeting of April 6, 2026. Are there any additions, corrections, or questions regarding those minutes? Not, those stand approved as printed. Move on to the claims. It's one of the shortest extra lists think I've ever seen. Any questions or comments on any of the claims? Is there a motion to approve the claims? Second. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Anything for notices of communication?
Negative.
How about anything on pending that we're
We'll
not
talk
dealing
about
with?
natural gas utility. Originally, we are gonna have, transfer property over tonight. There's a few more things to button up
Okay.
on my end, legally for me there. But Ashley, came because I forgot to tell her that
Oh.
wasn't happening tonight, but I said, hey, you're here already. If you have questions, I don't know, just a general update of where things are at or whatever, then might as well stick around. So she's at your disposal.
Okay. Anything you want to tell us? Josh briefs us pretty well on what's going on, but
Want to know. I guess one of the big things is concrete, our concrete contractor is shading the full start date in June. And with the site. He figured his for it, 4 weeks. And then after that, it is going to be an incredibly busy year in timelines to make sure we get July of 2020.
It's the end of July, right?
We were correct. So there's a lot to do for a building this large in that year time frame. And then tentatively right now for a community celebration, we're thinking about posting something like Fair Week, since that's just 2 weeks after final deadline for the community to celebrate. In terms of finances, to date, we're just sticking with that $2.1 million budget, but we have $1,932,261 and some odd cents raised towards this building, which would leave $167,708. And of that $2.1 million budget, there's $200,000 of contingency built in. So kind of right there. Still would like to go a little more just to make sure we're that because inevitably there's cost over any job. Some costs have been coming in lower as we get more of those final estimates coming in. So that's kind of helped balance out a few things that are coming in higher, naturally. I guess what questions do you have? Plethora of different information that could give. I don't want you first.
We did tap water. I don't know if you knew that yet, but we did tap the water off hydrants on the other side of 28, so it's ready to pour. Just getting started on that, but nothing with the sanitary yet. There's still some. I'm gonna meet with Blake and Weston tomorrow about elevations and flow and stuff. It's quite a bit far back and manholes far away. So trying to work with less
Did you get the volleyball courts moved yet? Or, I mean, obviously you just have to take poles out, right? But would you ever get people to plan to
We do not. That is a terrific. So there's some that room. Yes. Yeah. Awful discussion. Initially, I think we were thinking by the wiffle courts.
Right.
Now there's a grand project there, which is of course fantastic. Almost there couldn't have it in there and the tree line and some trees.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, anything from you, Ashley?
anything else that you want to share?
Sometimes I feel like I go through so much, I don't even know what I'm doing, don't share anymore.
Mhm.
Sometimes I let me know what it is that's
I think it's great to hear the timeline and how the finances are writing there. I think those are probably the big questions that, a lot of people are asking.
Groundbreaking. So the true groundbreaking year, so like June 1st that's gonna be the actual
Work.
equipment in the ground. Are you, what is it, Royal World
I think
slash?
we need to let some of those doing that work and they can get and start digging before concrete gets there. Kind of let them work their stripes. So groundbreaking officially happened before. So kind of a groundbreaking. We're not going to do anything big when it's open. We are going to bring the kids.
That's what I was hoping for.
There's sand there. That'd be
Yeah.
easy.
That's awesome.
I like that idea.
Mhm.
Any significant changes as far as the plans on the building itself?
Nope, just we did have to do some last updates after I ran the plans. Fire inspector, Uncle Marshall, gave a couple pieces of feedback and I sent it back to the architect. For our plans that will officially been lines and they had to fix them, so you have to
Just
now.
Thor is right. It wasn't anything major structural or.
Do that and all that.
Mhm.
There's a couple things from the state to do as well, I think. Plumbing's been submitted, I had submitted health and according to the packet I sent to see the address they told it to and then they sent it back saying, well, you gotta send it elsewhere. Okay, so I gotta resubmit that. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah, don't mail it to the address on the form.
Does DHS do like can you submit, here's our architecturally stamped plans, will this meet your licensing criteria type of review or?
Kristen's been keeping our licenses, and because we're an existing facility, they don't have a lot of concern. We don't have to go through the entire relicensing. But so it's kind of getting over. Just do that.
Okay. Sounds almost too simple. Reasonable.
There's gonna be a catch.
That's what I mean. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks for coming anyway and
Yes.
updating us. All right, we've got nothing else then on pending that we don't have on the agenda. We have no unfinished business, so we'll move to new business, and we have 6 points agenda item here regarding the Northwest Natural Gas.
Yeah, vast majority of them are discussion, only one action item. You can see the tentative schedule there. Obviously, the consideration of resolution tonight instead of on our last meeting. That would be our only action item, resolution 420/2026. And I can get as in-depth here as we want, or I mean, a lot of it is pretty detailed in terms of term sheets from the bank, month by month, year by year financial projections. The summary is that it's looking good. We're looking at 5.5% interest rate, 20-year revenue utility bond. Looking at a debt issuance of just under $5.1 million. The spreadsheet here that was authored by Mr. Berg, our consultant, and vetted by Ehlers, our financial consultants, and the bank, is based on. I think this is the potential customers. Okay, so yes. But I will note that it also works fiscally with the current customer count as well. So we don't need to be maxed out for the current or the potential customers for it to cash flow. That was obviously intentional to not be to be conservative on the revenue and expense of the debt service and all. So, any questions on kind of the finance year-to-year cash flow part of it? Timeline of events then. So the next or tonight would be the trigger resolution for the bond. It is a what they call a negotiated sale versus competitive sale. It's not on the open market. Midwest Bank is very interested in buying the bond issue of the 5.099 and offered a very competitive rate of 5.5 with the 20-year terms, no prepayment penalty. Not a GO bond, so it doesn't count against our debt max, which is
No prepayment.
no prepayment. And
It's not typical, right?
on a GO bond, it's well, actually any bond issue it is
Yeah.
not typical. So that was kind of something that we started in our initial negotiation, and they really didn't balk at that at all. So
That's wonderful.
yes, it is. So the trigger resolution will be what enables us to sell the bond to Midwest. The intent for the schedule is to sell that bond on the May 4th at the May 4th council meeting as well.
Is that when interest would start, or when would interest start accruing?
Interest would start at the disbursement of the funds, which won't happen until true closing, which we're predicting at that June 15th. Well, June 1st, estimated closing funds on hand, excuse me. We're publishing the ordinance right now that enables it, so we will talk about that too. But is there any kind of questions about the timeline of how money part of this is gonna transpire. There's a lot less steps, being that it's a negotiated sale
Mhm.
versus a competitive sale, which is cheaper for one thing and quicker for others. That's good. So May 4th meeting, we will accept or sell the bond, and also do the consideration of the asset purchase agreement, operation and maintenance of customer account agreement, and firm transportation agreement. The council has seen all those
Mhm.
three before. You have approved motions on record for all three of those. In their, at the time, substantial form is what the term is. There have been minor red lines since then as the year or so has progressed. Nothing substantive in cost, the terms of the sale price, the per therm fuel, transportation charge, the O&M charges. Nothing has changed there. There was just some language changes primarily focused around what the bond council wanted to see. When you hire a private firm to do your operations and maintenance, and it is a bonded project, there has to be very explicit language in those agreements that state that there is no profit sharing, basically, between the bonded activity and the firm that's doing the work in relation to that bonded activity. So basically, Northwest Gas can't be benefiting directly tied to how much, gas we, other than the purchase of the fuel. But this provision is tied to the O&M agreement. And that was never authored that way, but there has to be explicit language added to state that it was, the intent was never that way. So that's just the $6 per customer per month, or whatever it is, $8,000 per month flat, and it's not tied to any profit or loss. And then we would also consider the enabling ordinance then, which is a draft of that as well. If there's no questions on the money part of it, the only big question I have with the walkthrough of the ordinance, really, I don't, unless the council wants to walk through it section by section, it models Battle Lakes, who did a municipalization a while ago, and Mr. Strawman helped with that as well, and so he updated some statutory references and basically a template for it. He took from that, and then current flow of ordinances as well. And the main question being, do we want the PUC locally to be the city council, or do we want it to be a separate entity? The way that it's authored right now is the council serves as the PUC. Personally, as the administrator, I think to begin with, I am recommending that we keep the council as the PUC. I think that this group of people has done a fantastic job of all being on the same page. It has the same short and long-term vision of what we want these new utilities to be and how they want to operate. And, we're not going to rob Peter to pay Paul and that type of thing in terms of other counts and projects. And I would hate to lose that vision and control by handing it to not that other community members' opinions are not valued, but initially at the onset of this, I think it's critically important to have all of us on the same page, especially in the governance of it.
So at some point in time, that was something that we want to change. It's just basically enacting another public hearing on ordinance.
Just, you wouldn't even have to repeal the whole entire ordinance. You'd just be amending the ordinance as it's currently out there, just like we do with our fee schedule or anything else changed.
I think that's a prudent way to approach that, to get the bugs worked out of the system with us. And then I think it's a great idea to, phase it.
To phase it or have maybe a couple board members or whatever you want to call it, but as of right now, I mean, we know the ins and the
Mhm.
details of things, and I think it would be very important for us to start it and then circle back and reevaluate after some sort of a time.
And basically,
It's also-
this will be, if head shakes were the answer, then it would have to be a different draft for the May 4th meeting. But as it sits right now and as it's being posted, it's significantly seeing agreement. Which it does. We're all done.
What was that? Can you say there was something actionable?
The actionable item is the trigger resolution for the sale of the dog. Would be resolution 04/20/2026. So here's the A on there. We can delete the A.
Yeah.
So for that then.
They can be.
I say,
Well, I'll make a motion to approve.
04/20/2026.
Yes.
I'll second that.
okay, is there any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh, no, motion carried. Any other questions on the process here? We've all know most of the details. This is all built up, so there's really no new stuff here. So I guess if there's no additional business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
No, okay, second from Chris then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned 18:20. Oh.